My name is Daquan Knight. I'm Rich Off Tech's Career Certification and Success Coordinator. Today, we're going to be just going over a quick overview of Active Directory, what it is, what you do in it. Just help y'all get the basics as far as understanding. What is Active Directory? The best way I could explain Active Directory is to think of it as a digital phone book for your organization to where it stores all the information about users, devices, groups, printers, and just all network resources. It also allows centralized management of access and security. It is important because a lot of companies, like it's like the server for companies. It's centralized user management. It's simplified authentication and authorization, enhanced security controls, and easier management of network resources, single sign-on capabilities. So just think of like two-factor authentication. Think of um, when they say centralized user management, where you control what a user has access to, as far as groups, licenses, and things like that. It has enhanced security tools to where we can see the live logs of what's going on, who signed into what, who's doing what on their accounts, and the last sign in. It also gives you information on just specific users as well. Okay, cool. Really, a domain is a logical grouping of users, computers, and other objects that share the same Active Directory database. So you see how it says company.local. This is how you put the server together, how they build it. If you look here on mine, you see it says SBHC and then Summit BHC because that's the network, that's the organization that will be under. I'm gonna show you a couple things in here just to do a quick basic breakdown. This is what AD looks like, and this is a live, real world Active Directory. So let's say, for example, I needed to change a user's password or lock an account or just do anything for a user. And I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm brand new to this. The first thing I always just recommend of people getting into tech, just read. If you go through this taskbar and it gives you what everything is, creating a new user, creating a new group. I tend to use this one the most because it's the quickest way. You want to search your entire directory. So let's say I was looking for myself, Daquan, and let's say I wanted to pull up information on what I do, what it shows, what you'll be doing in here. If I needed to lock my account, reset my password, it just shows what's all my information on my account, what groups I'm assigned to, location, where I'm at, profile information, paths. You can. This is where you map drives for profiles and users as well. A quick little fix for this as well. Say you had to reset my password, for example. You right click, it gives you all these options to work, add a group, disable account, reset password. I can move the user to a different group. I think Active Directory is really straightforward. I don't know if I mentioned that at first, but so a domain controller is a server that hosts Active Directory services. It authenticates users when they log in and enforces security policies throughout the domain. So if you're working for a company and let's say you got a laptop or a device at the facility and you're trying to get signed in, what this does is authenticates that you're on the network, that you're at the building signing in, and that's what it'll let you sign in. If you were on another internet router network anywhere else, you would have to log in a different way. So I'm gonna move on to organization units. So think of this as just like all the different departments in Active Directory. So I do IT, think of me as the IT. So how we will break it down, we'd have a section in Active Directory for IT people that really has policies, security, features, just everything IT within there. And then you would have a HR organizational unit to where it's just strictly HR stuff. You'll have all the access that an HR user would have. Then you go to finance and sales and so on. But just think of this as just groups in Active Directory. So we're moving on to users and groups. User accounts represents individual employees, while groups allow administrators to assign permissions to multiple users at once. So break this down to a similar term. So I started a job and I needed access to a certain license within Active Directory. They would have a group to where they could just move the user And all these policies and information and everything will be applied to that user's account. They don't have to manually go in and do all these things because they already have it set up to where you'll have this access to this if you get added to this group in Active Directory. Let's see, we're gonna back to the authentication process. When a user signs in the Active Directory, it verifies credentials through a domain controller and grants access to authorized resources. This process is just called authentication, which is pretty straightforward. Just signing in the Active Directory, sends the notice to the domain and just verifies it's you. We just went over group policies. What this is, so if I have a group of IT technicians, we're going to have a specific requirement for, and a lot of companies do this, the complexity of your password. So they'll have a requirement and it'll be 15 characters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. That's what this is talking about. Desktop settings. So this will be what you have access to on your computer, on your device, softwares. Like if I minimize my screen really quick, so you can see I got Workday, I got Visual. These are really the settings that will be configured for when you sign into your account on your computer. Everything will be set up already. You don't have to go change the time zones. You don't have to mess with things. And a lot of these things get set up already through your IT department, so you rarely have to worry about it. Software deployment. So think about getting assigned to a certain group that's going to require me to use certain softwares like Visual is a camera system client. Not everybody's going to have access to it. I'm IT, so I have access to a broader aspect of things. Security configurations, that'll be if your device or if your account needs to have two-factor authentication. There's multiple ways you can authenticate into an account. You can have the actual two-factor Microsoft authentication way, which is sends you a number, or when you sign in, it pops up with the number on the screen. You type it on your phone, you're in the device. Or you can have it set up through your phone number, which is just another option of authentication. It's pretty straightforward. You click your phone number, it sends a code to your phone. You type the code in, you get signed in. Pretty straightforward. Security benefits of it. With Active Directory, so how I can create my own complexity for my company. If I wanted to 15 characters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols, you can have it as complex as you want with your company, but that's what they mean by security benefits and password policies. Account lockout policies. So just think about if someone was trying to hack your account, they're constantly trying to log in. They're getting failed login attempts. Let's say I set my number of login attempts to 5. I can only fail to log in 5 times before the account locks, which is a great policy to have because it limits hackers to and people trying to get into your account to you got a couple chances in a sense. Access control, we went over this as well. This is assigning them to groups, putting them in the policies. You have the HR department, IT department, sales, and so on. But we can control it easier in Active Directory if we're just assigning them to groups because they'll get the access, they'll get assigned a certain policy for their account. So that's another way. And then auditing and monitoring, which I did go over as well, is just keeping track of logs of when you signed in, where you signed in, alerts, failed sign-in attempts. It all gets sent to the Active Directory admin to where he can see what's going on. Real world example: a new employee account is created in Active Directory, added to the correct groups, and automatically receives access to required files, applications, and networks. So, for example, if I needed to go in the IT group and how it's a security group right here, let's say LAP sysadmins, let's say I need to get added or I needed access to what they have access to. All I would do was go to members, add myself to this through here. It's grayed out right now. It's probably a limited folder, but I'd add myself to it and then I'd get all the access that they have within that group. It's nothing hard about this. It's straightforward to the point. But just a conclusion of what Active Directory is a centralized directory service that helps organizations manage users, computers, security efficiently, key components including domains, domain controllers, OUs, users, groups, and policies. So that's just a quick basic breakdown of everything in Active Directory. It really isn't much. people, the main thing you'll be using it for, let's say you start a help desk job, and again, a lot of these companies will limit the access that you have to this because they don't want you messing up anything with their server and system. So, for example, when I started Intellect Techs, I got access to Active Directory, but the only thing I was doing in there, I wasn't creating groups, I wasn't assigning anything. I was either resetting passwords, which is level 1 help desk stuff, in which I just showed you. All that would be is me going and opening Active Directory. It's gonna always look like this. You may have different setups as far as the network and how everything here is broken down. I would go here, magnifying glass, I'd search the username, I'd find the user, I'd right click, whatever I needed to do, or if I need to even change some information, like let's say they move from Office 131 to Office 232, you'd be able to update that here and it would transfer across all platforms within Microsoft. So think about your email account, think about this is where you make changes for people. This will update on all from Workday to Teams to Outlook. It'll update. This is the first place you want to go to make a change on somebody's account because it bypasses over Microsoft Admin Center. It bypasses everything. If you need to do anything with an account, reset password, whatever, type it in, whatever, you unlock the user's account. And if it's a strict company, a lot of times they still will have you have user must change password at the next login, which a lot of companies really don't doing that because the user tends to not be able to set a password. But that's everything you'd be doing in AD. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, need me to go back over anything? Where you would be starting out at if you were to get a help desk role, or start with the company sometime this week, and then you can go in with some knowledge of what Active Directory actually is. These companies don't want you to know the encyclopedia on the ins and outs. Some do, but for starting out in tech, you're not going to have to know everything about Active Directory. If you could explain it as simple as this, as a digital phone book for your organization or stores information for users, devices, groups, and printers and network resources, you could say that in an interview and they'll take that. That'll be a golden answer for that. Yeah, that's it. Oh wait, let me go ahead and do this. Does it show the letter? No, cool. All right. A lot of times it gives you a hard time and don't take the password, but it should with this one. So yeah, just as simple as that. Password reset, done. You go to the ticket, whatever ticketing system you use, you close the ticket. It'd be as simple as that. I appreciate y'all for joining today. We are actually about to start doing more. Just be on the lookout for that. Like, you never know. It could be Active Directory this week. It could be ServiceNow next week. It could be Sophos. It could be so on. But again, thank you for everybody for tuning in today. I really appreciate y'all. I hope I gave y'all some great insight on what Active Directory is and what you're doing it.